Hello everyone, and welcome to Judy's Creations in Crochet. And today is September the 21st, 2023. And this is a very special episode for me. So today is going to be all about celebrating. We recently reached the 1,000K subscribers. I should just say 1K, otherwise I'm doubling up. I hit 1,000 subscribers. And this month is my birthday, and it is also my podiversary. Officially, that special day is Saturday, September the 23rd. And that is the day 2 years ago, on a Thursday, I started my YouTube channel, and I am excited to still be doing it 2 years later, and I am excited that I have this many viewers and that you are all here to celebrate it with me. And we are going to do a lot of celebrating today, and on top of that, this is, like I said, September the 23rd is my birthday, and this is the year 2023. So if some of you were around at the first of the year, you knew that I was calling this the year of Judy, because 23 is my special number, as you can tell. So we're going to see what 2023 has been up to for me. Next week, we'll do a bit of an update. More about that later. We're all about crochet here, and hand-dyed yarns is the other thing I like to talk a lot about. So if these are things you enjoy to see, lots of finished objects and lots of talk about yarn and patterns, then I hope you'll stick around, and I hope you enjoy it enough to want to come back. I have some very loyal followers, and I'll tell you more about that as we progress today. I want to start by talking about our winner from last week. We're not using the G word here anywhere. Last week's winner is the first thing I want to announce, and then we will get on with this week. So this is the yarn that was up for last week, and it is 100 grams, 400 meters, which means it's 437 yards. It says it's DK, but from the looks of it and the amount of yardage, I'm quite sure it's fingering, and it's BFL Superwash BFL yarn. And there'll be some other little goodies that go along with it, just as I sent extra goodies to Adam last week. And so the winner is, ta-da! Congratulations, Cindy. I think that was a surprise for both you and for me. And we'll talk about getting this yarn to you a little bit later. So, I also want to mention, before I forget, before I go any further, that every prize of yarn will also come with this yarn cozy. You put your ball, you have to have a cake. I have a cake right here. You have to have a cake of yarn, and the cake of yarn goes in here. This one's a wee bit big, but I ended up, these are yarn cozies that I myself made. I went to the local fabric store, and the only yarn, the only fabric they had was this little Miss Kitty yarn. So I bought a yard, and I've made a bunch of these, more than enough to go along with all the giveaways this week. And I cut them a little bit shorter so they wouldn't be flopping over when you put a cake in them. So everybody that wins yarn from me will be getting one of these. So before we go on with more this week, and we have quite a number of prizes. I always do extra prizes on the week of my birthday. So I'll be interrupting what I do every so often and saying, okay, here's some more. Let's see who's going to win this. But I wanted to refer back to last week. I got the impression from the responses I got that people really enjoyed seeing various ways to style things like shawls and wraps and asymmetrical scarves and so on. And I'm really glad you enjoyed that. And I hope you checked out the 2 links I put in last week's description box. I'll tell you why. There were many more ways to style things than I showed you. I was, restricted by time. The other thing was, in the first video, I drew diagrams and I had no clue what I had drawn. But obviously, there were other ways that I thought were quite interesting. So you should go back to that. The second link came after I did the video. It doesn't have as much in it, but again, there was one particular, maybe 2 particular ways to style a shawl, particularly, that really would be worth watching. So I hope you do go back and check out those videos if you enjoyed my video at all last week. I certainly learned a couple things from it, and you'll see how I adapted it even again this week. So I just wanted to refer back to that. So I'm going to get started right away and do a prize, not using that G word. The first prize I want to look at is this one. This is yarn from Troublemaker's Yarn. And some of you will recognize the name. This is a yarn that is hand-dyed by Reggie. At the time, I think she was working with Catherine. And Reggie is J-Hook Crochet. And this happens to be a colorway that's called I'm Not Messy, I Have a System. And it's a DK weight in 100% superwash merino. So there are 200 meters and 218 yards in this skein of yarn. Feels quite nice. And I like to kind of use the names. It's a bit long. So we're just going to use the word trouble. If you're interested in this really nice fall color of DK weight yarn, then you will use the word trouble in the comments below. You know the word that you're not going to use anywhere, and I'm not going to use it either. And this time I have the rules in the description box. So that's the very first prize today. And be sure to use the word trouble. And again, it will have a yarn cozy with it and some other little goodies as well. So that's a start. Now, I happened to get in the mail, a week or 10 days ago now. I don't know how many of you follow Dawn at Yarn is a Sport, but she has been sending project bags, she calls them project bags, to several of the YouTube creators. And she sent me a couple. I'll just show it to you quickly. Yarn is a Sport. This is actually a nylon material, and it is quite sizable. It says Yarn is a Sport. I am a professional yarn chicken athlete. Has a drawstring at the top, and it has these, you could wear it like a backpack. I thought it was strong enough to be a laundry bag. You could certainly say if you were crocheting a blanket, It would be a good size to put your blanket in to keep it clean while you're working on it. So she sent me a couple of these, and I'm going to be including them in some of the some of the prizes that will be happening today. So a couple of people will get one of these bags. So thank you very much, Dawn. I appreciate that, or my viewers, I think, probably appreciate that. Now, today's topic was to be about a review of EFA yarn, and I am going to do that in a minute. I always get questioned, although most of you have seen it, what am I wearing? So I'm going to show you. I am wearing a poncho. It's not overly long. It is a Stanley yarn. There's no special pattern. I just did double crochets, and every so often I would do a row of open, chain one, skip one. But otherwise it's just double crochets because the yarn says it all. I'm sure you can see how sparkly it is. It's a cotton, it's either cotton acrylic or cotton polyester from Stanley, which is from a company in Bulgaria called Plita, I'm thinking. And it came on a cone of 900 meters. And you can imagine, I just love those sparkles. And I thought it was pretty festive to be wearing today. So that's what I'm wearing today. And I had a ball, a good sized ball left over of it. I'm contemplating maybe making a scarf with it, or maybe I'll get another cone and make a big shawl. I don't know what I'll do because there's a substantial amount left over. So that's what I'm wearing today. Okay, I want to move on to, you see, to me, birthdays, most people think of birthdays as presents. Well, I like to be giving presents on my birthday. I've done that in the past. So I have another present for somebody. And hopefully it doesn't fall apart any further. This is again from Mermaid's Purse, but we're not going to use the word purse this time. This happens to be, it's called Mary's Escape. 100 grams, 400 meters, but it is 70% bamboo and 30% linen. So it is much finer than a lot of others. 400 meters though, so that means there's 436 yards, but it is much thinner. You can tell that there is linen in it, but if you're a person that has allergies or really, really likes what they call vegan yarns, this would be a really nice choice for you. And it's in a blue, variegated blues or tonal blues. And the word we're going to use is mermaid, M-E-R-M-A-I-D, mermaid, just mermaid, not the possessive, mermaid. And if you're interested in trying to win this yarn, and again, it'll come with a yarn cozy, use the word mermaid. Okay, so talking about presents, I have some wonderful, wonderful followers, and I'm going to talk about Happy Mail next. I had one or a couple of followers contact me. I don't know if you remember, but a few weeks ago, I showed you the baby blanket I made for what's going to be my grandchild, not grandchild, my grand niece or nephew. In other words, it's my niece that's having a baby in January. And I made a baby blanket with latte cake and with this summer night. And I went looking on Lion Brand to get more, and Karen to get more. And I did get a little more latte cake, but that seemed to be the end of it. And right away I had, this was not available on the site. And right away I had Barbara contact me. And here is, so I have lots of happy mail this week. Here is the card that I got from Barbara. I won't be reading these cards, but thank you. I have several Barbaras, but you know which Barbara you are. This is Barbara that's in Canada, out in Alberta. And she said she had one of these cakes in her stash. And this happens to be the bonus cake. And she said she had no problem. She would send it to me. I said I would pay her. She said, nope, nope, I'm happy to send it to you. It's not doing anything in my stash. So I received that this past week. And then within a couple of days, I got another email from another viewer. And that viewer is Josephine. You'll recall Josephine. She does the 3 granny squares with flowers in them every month. And there's the card from Josephine. And she says, I have some of that Summer Nights. She says, I have 4. Now hers are the smaller ones. The one Barbara sent is a bonus bundle. This, I'm not going to open it. It's a sealed package with 3 and another one. So these are smaller. I used almost one of these to make the baby blanket that I made. And I didn't mention it, but I'm going to put a lovey in with that baby blanket. And I've decided, now that I have it, I'm going to use what's left of this one and a latte cake. I have a partial one. And I'm going to make the little skirt for the lovey, just like the skirts that I put on Kiki. I'm going to make one. I have a very, very plush little teddy bear, and I'm going to make a skirt for it. So I'll be able to use my leftovers for her skirt. And then from Josephine, I received these. Wow, Josephine, I am just really, really pleased to get these. So now it looks like I got a lot more than I need, but actually I have 2 other nieces that are younger than this one that's currently having a baby. And I want to be able to treat them all the same. So I will be able to do 2 more blankets with these. I think 2 little ones will make a blanket and a lovey for each of them. But this older one, I'm pretty sure it's in the cards that she'll have a second one. So I have 1 more that I'll be able to make her another one for the next child. I just hope I have enough for however many babies they have, that I don't run out, because I absolutely love that blanket and I think it's special, and I want to be able to make them all a baby blanket. So thank you, Josephine, and thank you, Barbara. You know who you are. I really appreciate it. Now, before I move on, since we have a lot to cover today, I'm going to go to another prize, and then we'll have to get down to business. The next little present I have is, I once was planning to get into Tunisian crochet. So I bought a set of Tunisian hooks. You can tell they're Tunisian hooks because they're quite long, and they have like a crochet hook, and they have the size up here in the top. I bought a set of just the single hook for smaller items, but I realized that, like knitting, you need longer ones. So I also bought some, I'm thinking these are just wooden, and they come on cords. I'm not going to unravel it all, but there's all the different sizes of hooks and various sizes of cords that they are on. It is not an expensive set. I know there are far better ones with interchangeable cords and swivel cords and all the rest, but it is a starter set. So if there's somebody out there that doesn't have all of the set that they need to start up Tunisian crochet, or they can't afford to get, you know, the whole set, and they'd like to try it out, well, here's a way you can try it out, because the next thing I'm giving away, because I didn't even use them. They just sat in a box for a while. So we're going to use the word hooks for this particular prize. Okay? Hooks. And see who's interested in trying Tunisian crochet. So that's the third one. And everything is falling off onto the floor. Oh well. Next, I got another something in the mail, some more happy mail. And this person said they were sending me something without saying what, and then said if I needed some lattes, she would go and get me some, or she ordered some. But by that point, I had gotten more latte. Plus, she had gone into her stash. You are so good, people. You're the best viewers out there. She sent me as a birthday gift a latte cake. And this is from Debbie P. in Arizona. I have to differentiate. By the way, I now have 2 Debbies and a Deb. 2 of them in Arizona. Don't know where the third one is. Anyway, lovely card. And thank you so much. I am really happy to get this. I see that in some places they still have this on the shelf in the stores. My store, after I bought them out, they did get a few more. And I went and bought them out of those too. So I now have lots of latte and lots of summer nights, thanks to you, my wonderful viewers. And that made such precious birthday gifts, happy mail for me. I was very excited to receive all of that last week in the mail. So next, where do I put this bag? I'll just throw it on the floor. It won't hurt. What next? I think now I'm going to talk about the yarn that I said I would do a review of. I was originally going to do a review of Cash Silk Sock from EFA, but I happened to get sidetracked and looking at some other yarn, and I decided that I am going to review Moon Gleam Fingering. This is another EFA yarn, and I'm going to tell you all about it, and then I'll show you something I've made. So first of all, this particular little cubicle is all Moon Gleam Fingering. So let me tell you about it. Can you see the sheen? So Moon Gleam Fingering is 50% cotton and 50% mulberry silk. So for those of you that really like to work with vegan type yarns, who have allergies to wool, this is a good alternative. I've had it for a while. You know, cotton is not one of my favorite things to work with. I mean, Pima cotton feels nice, and I did make something and I wasn't happy with it. And other cottons just never feel really nice to me. But this is luxury. This feels, well, it feels silky is what it feels. Now let me tell you the rest of it. It has 400 meters or 437 yards in this hank. Like most, you know, hand wash, lay flat to dry. It is a fingering weight. So let me get, this is pretty much standard size for fingering. You can tell it has a twist. Is it going to focus? I think you can see back here the twist in the yarn. Now, having a twist isn't my favorite, but it was very, very nice to work with. Slides on the hook, really, really nice. Occasionally you might have had a little bit of splitting, but no real difficulty with splitting. And I don't recall having any problem with frogging it. Very, very nice yarn to work with. And I have some kits. Remember I said I wanted to use some of my EFA kits. And I had a few kits in this Moon Gleam fingering and I wanted to use them. And I pulled them out. And in the end, what happened was I put one with one and I got mixing the kits all up. And in the end, I decided to use two from one kit. I started with this lighter purple. I don't even have the color names. In fact, when they come in kits, they don't really put color names on each skein. They give you a color name for the kit. And this came out of one kit. There was a third yarn and I decided to hold it back and work it with something else. And I put with it a third yarn, which I thought was out of my Moon Gleam fingering. And it's not. It turned out to be pearlescent fingering. But it has sort of, now pearlescent fingering is not plied. It is a single ply. See that? Which I prefer. That's how I figured out I didn't have the same thing. But they both have a silky finish, so I thought they would be fine together, and they're about the same thickness. And so I made this shawl, and I used one of the methods from last week. See this shawl? I folded it down, I turned it upside down, and I folded it down to make a collar. Now I'm going to take this off of her so you can see the whole shawl. And there's the lighter at the top, and then it goes into the darker purple and charcoal, and then it goes into charcoal at the very bottom. It has a number of different stitches, a bit of a puff here, not exactly a puff, but a cluster, and it has triple crochets and double crochets, and this is a pattern from EFA called Iolante. Now I could have put more in the charcoal. I had plenty. As you see, I had quite a bit of the skein left, but I just decided that this shawl was large enough as it was, and I knew that the pearlescent for sure would block. I didn't know how the Moon Gleam would block, but it did. See how nicely it blocks out, opens up. If you have real lacy work, it opens up. And so I did the repeat a certain number of times, and then I stopped in the middle. I actually adjusted it because I put a little more solid in between the lacy sections. But I will link the pattern on Ravelry because all EFA patterns are also on Ravelry and they're easier to find there. So I will link the pattern in Ravelry, and I will link Moon Gleam fingering yarn in EFA. And I've been wanting to try this for quite a while, and I have to tell you, I really, really like it. It feels a wee bit thicker than the yarn I'm going to talk about in a minute. You can feel the texture of applied yarn a little bit, but it was heavenly to work with. I definitely would recommend it. I really enjoyed working with it, and I will work with it again in the future. So that is EFA's Moon Gleam fingering, and there's the name there. Moon Gleam fingering. So put that back up there, and this little one won't be able to do much, but I have a fair bit here that I'll put back in there. So that is my review on it, and I have been rating them. I've been picking all ones I really like so far, and I would probably rate this about a 4 to 4.5 again out of 5, like I have rated the others. Okay, let's do another gift. The next gift is this yarn from, oh, we dealt with this company before, Cornbread and Honey. Remember Cornbread and Honey from a couple weeks ago? And this is another skein. I think it might be the same color we had that week, because it says it is the May colorway of the month. And once again, I'll remind you that it is 75% superwash merino and 25% nylon. And there's more than usual. There are 463 yards in this 100 grams. Feels very nice. Has a mixture of colors. And this time we're going to use a different word. We're going to use this shrooms. Shrooms. That's the base. That's what she calls this base. Shrooms. So that's the key word if you're interested in winning this nice soft skein of yarn. So that's present number 4. All right. Continuing on, I still got more happy mail. I kind of knew each of these other parcels was coming because those people contacted me ahead and said they were sending some, or did I want it, da-da-da. But this was a total surprise that came to me just this morning. I was getting ready to leave. I teach a class, and I was getting ready to leave, and I walked out, looked out the door, and there was a box sitting on my mailbox, and I hadn't even heard anybody come up to deliver it. And here is the box I received, and I am just so tickled pink. Here's the card. And this comes from Carrie. Now, Carrie lives here in Ontario, and she just wanted to wish me a happy birthday and my channel a happy birthday. And she sent me a couple of things. First of all, if you watch my end of the month video slideshows, you'll notice regularly you'll hear of Carrie, who loves to do amigurumi. In fact, I think she has a little bit of a business selling amigurumi. And Carrie has bunnies, real live bunnies. She has 3 of them. So she made me a bunny in purple, of course, right? Isn't that adorable? And with it, her son, Max, sent, he likes to make, I think he makes keychains and stitch markers. So he made me a couple of stitch marker bunnies. And finally, she said she wanted me to be able to experience Yarn Bee. I think I mentioned how I can't get to US. And I guess she had been there or had a friend or one time I think she and her husband went shopping or when he was over there and bought some for her. So she sent me some Yarn Bee authentic hand-dyed yarn. And like most skeins, it has 400 yards. Yeah, it's 400 yards. Market at Malta is the name of the colorway, and it is a fingering weight 100% superwash merino nylon. And look at the colors in it. That would have been good for this month's colorway. Too late now. I've already got my item made. And I have so many other things that I'm planning that I don't have time to make another one. But I think this looks really nice and fallish to me. And it really feels very nice. So I'm going to look for a solid that would go with this. I was thinking brown, but now I think brown would be too dark. Maybe a cream or tan color, and make a shawl that alternates the plain with the busy color. This is very, very pretty. And Carrie, thank you so very much. And thank you to all the others that also sent me those gifts. I feel very blessed to have such a great community. Thank you all. So we'll put that aside. And the bunny is going to go up. She thought the bunny could keep them company. So the bunny can go up there. This will go with my other progress stitch markers. All right, so moving right along, we have another item. This is number 5. Another skein of yarn. This comes from Little Skein in the Big Wool. Some of you may be familiar with that company. Again, it's quite soft. And it's called Smooth Sock. It's 80% merino, superwash merino, and 20% nylon, has 400 yards in it. And the colorway is Apple Blossom. So we're going to use the word apple. If you would be interested in these, look at the nice, this looks very fallish too. Browns and pinks. I like browns and pinks together. Different tones and tan, creamy tan. There's some kind of green hints in there as well. So if you'd be interested in this skein of yarn, use the word apple. So moving right along here, we're starting to get rather lengthy. I have one more finished object I want to show you before I get to an acquisition, and we'll talk about acquisition in a bit. So I got several other things done this week. You'll get to see them next week and the week after. But this one I am doing a donation with. So I want to show it to you today before I have to take it out of the house. So there it is. I have made this pattern before. I'm going to put a picture. I'm going to put a picture up here just for a moment of the one I made, 6 weeks ago maybe. And I said at the time I really, really loved it and it felt heavenly and I wanted to make another one. So it's called Forest of the Dean. And it was made by the designer Michelle Dunaire. You want to check back into one of my past videos. I believe in June, I focused on her. And here it is. This one is bigger than the green one that I made. And it is made, once again, with Oasis fingering. And it gets quite long. It's an asymmetrical triangle, and this time I was able to go further and make it a little wider at the base. Now it has a, I believe it has a row of trim to put around it, but I quite like it this way. Now this is a unique pattern in that most asymmetrical triangles, like this one, start at the tip and they get wider as they go. But most of them have the plain work and they keep on, and then they put the lace work at the bottom. Well, this one starts with the lace work. There's the lace work. And you work on the lace work, ever expanding until you get, I don't know how many rows, but you get to this point, and then you start to add in the plain section. The lace work stays this width all the way down, and the plain part expands, and you can go as far as you want, and it actually expands fast. I took out the fast increase, and I just kept it a steady increase all the way along. And this is made with an Oasis fingering yarn, and I did a review on the Oasis fingering yarn, and that's what this cubby is. I did a review on that, probably last spring. And so I do want to mention, when we're talking about these two items that I have here to show you today, that this one is thinner. Oasis fingering is made with camel and silk, 50-50 camel silk, where this is made with cotton and silk, again 50-50. But the cotton is a little bit heavier than this. You could wear this as a summer shawl because it is very, very light and of course very drapey. Now this is drapey as well, but it is just a bit heavier, and you can see the 2-ply in it, whereas this one, it has 2-ply too, but it's wound tighter, and like I said, they're both fingering, but this one is finer than this one, but they both feel heavenly silky, and I enjoyed work. But I've done a review on this one. This one you want to be a little careful. It doesn't always frog as nicely as you would like, and that's camel for you, different than cotton. So, and this is a more expensive yarn than this one as well, but it has more. This has 437 yards, where this has 500 yards in it. But isn't it beautiful? And I love this pattern, and I'm donating it to our church's fashion show. They give gifts at the fashion show, and so that will be one of the prizes at that. So, okay, moving on, we have another present, and this is present number 6. Just a sec. Too much talking. So here we have present number 6, and this is a sock set. Once again, it's from the Mermaid's Purse, and this would be a 100 gram, and this would be a 20 gram. They are both, they say they are DK weight. Okay, I didn't realize that, but I guess it is a little heavier. They are both DK weight. And this pink kind of rusty red, I don't know what color you'd call it, is 425 meters, and the blue is 45 meters. DK always has half as much as fingering. They are both 100% superwash BFL yarn, and this comes from the UK. I think I told you that the mermaid's purse comes from the UK. So the word we're going to use here, because all the words are big, we're going to use sock. It's a sock set, so we're going to use the word sock. And if you're interested, now you can see this is a tonal. It changes colors and tones. And the blue is definitely a tonal as well. So if you're interested in that and you like DK weights, use the word sock. Great. That's number 6. And again, there'll be some other little things with it. And of course, there'll be a yarn cozy, which mine has fallen on the floor. Every single one of those skeins of yarn will have a yarn cozy with it. Okay, now I have an acquisition. I have almost shown all my acquisitions. I have one to show you today, and I have one on the table to show you next week, and that's going to clear off all my yarn acquisitions from this past year. We're going to be caught up. Some of the one has been sitting there for months and months and months. And as you know, I haven't been purchasing as much yarn lately. I'll tell you more about that next week. But I'm saving up, first of all, for that shed. But second of all, I'm saving up to make some major yarn acquisitions on Black Friday. To start with, I know EFA, from my experience with them over the last 2 years, they generally have 30% off store-wide. So I'm kind of waiting for that. Black Friday, I will make a big purchase from them, and I will probably make some other purchases from other yarn dyers. I'm going to make a list of yarn dyers I want to check out. So there'll be lots and lots to see in December and the new year, because we got a lot of other things to keep us busy until then. So here's a yarn acquisition I made just recently. Now, I got this off of Etsy, but it is a Canadian dyer, and I left part of it vacuum sealed and part of it I cut open, which I'll show you in a minute. It comes from a company, I'm going to get this up real close, Borealis. See that? Borealis Fibers. And they are in Alberta. I don't know where Spruce Grove is. Those of you that live in the area out there in Alberta will know. But I bought this for a reason that I'm going to talk about. I bought this, what you would call rainbow set. I bought it all as one set, and they just split it into 2 bags to be able to ship it. It is 84% merino and 26% stellina. The whole set, I had a choice. The whole set has sparkles in it. I think you can see all those sparkles. I ordered this for a specific reason, and it feels very nice. There are 2, 4, 5, 10. There are 10 skeins in the set. They are 20 grams each, and it says my total yardage is 740 yards, which means these skeins are a little smaller than some other skeins, because usually a 20 gram has 87 yards in it, but these have only 74 and a total of 740. Now, I'm going to tell you why I bought this. First of all, again, I'm trying to check out as many Canadian hand dyers as possible, but I have a reason for this. I'm going to prepare you now. I ordered this in order to get some bright colors, because you remember our discussion about continuing on the monthly cow, and I'm going to continue on the monthly cal next month, the next year, starting in January, and we're going to be using tropical birds as the inspiration. Well, of course, I like to be prepared well in advance. So I now have 12 pictures of tropical birds for next year. And I've assigned one to each month. And I just want to prepare you. Bright colors. Bright colors is synonymous with tropical birds. And if you look at my shelves, you won't really see bright colors. I mean, I love blues and I love purples, and they're not dark and dull, but I tend to go with more what I consider to be muted colors. Not quite that bright. And I took a look through my stash and I pulled out some that would work with the pictures for next year, but I decided I really do not have enough bright tropical colors. So in the next little while, that's the one thing I'm going to focus on, is finding tropical, bright, not necessarily neon. I wouldn't call that a neon yellow. Actually, it's a yellow I can deal with. But I am going to be looking at bright colors, and in your shopping, you just might want to have that in mind before next year gets here. So you'll have maybe some bright colors in your stash. That's that was my plan. So that's my one acquisition. I'm not going to open it because it's easier to store them when they're sealed. And I'm going to start looking at my stash and the inspiration pictures and putting together my kits for next month or next year. And then I got one other thing in the mail, and I call this happy mail, although I bought it, I paid for it, but this was the month they sent it. And I got this, more than a month ago. And first of all, I'm going to show you, I'm just showing you one thing. You've got to wait till next month to see it completely. But this is the box that I got. This is the mystery box that we're going to do in October. So next week is the very end of September, and I'll say now I'm going to do my quarterly review, checkup, progress next week, and tell you a little more. I was going to do it this week, but running out of time. I will tell you more about what's in the box. I opened it just to see what was there. You can't see the yarn. It's in individual packages, but we'll talk about this next week. But I was really excited. That's what we're going to be opening in October. So we won't have acquisitions. We'll have minis instead. So that's what's planned for October. And we have one more present. That makes 7. I think 7 is a good number. It's a lucky number. And this yarn, I think, is a little more special just because I think it is. You might not. It's from Ravenswood. All that other yarn, a lot of it came from the UK, and I'm not sure where else, but this is a Canadian hand dyer, and I wanted some lucky person to feel the softness of Ravenswood yarn. Now, I have hanked it, but I'm not good at hanking, so I'm going to unhank it and show it to you. It is called Summer Delights. So it has a lot of colors in it. It's the purple, the green and yellow. There's some blue. There's more of a turquoise green. Little bit of pinky purple. So, and there's a really nice aqua teal kind of color. So that is the skein of yarn that somebody's going to get. I will place it flat in the envelope. It's a lot easier if I can put it flat, although I won't be able to shrink wrap it. That's how it comes to me. Oh, there's a little bit of brown and rusty color. So that's the skein of yarn. That's going to be number 7 in our presents. It is from Ravenswood and it's called Summer Delights. So we're going to use the keyword summer for this particular prize. So that brings us to the end of our very special celebration week. There are 7 different keywords to remember. You may have to go back and check out the video. Again, you have until Monday to comment under this video. On Tuesday, I will go and draw for all of these different prizes, which I will announce next week on our regular video on Thursday. And then you'll find out if you've won one of these 7 different gifts. I hope you've enjoyed celebrating with me. And I look forward to your comments. Oh, I had something else I did want to say. I know a number of you, and if you have actually commented to me, a number of you have birthdays in September. Did you know, and this is a fact, that September has the highest birth rate? I always suspected it did, but I read it somewhere. September has the highest birth rate, and I know why. So if you have a birthday in September, I would really like if you would comment below and tell me the actual date. Like I would say, I have a September birthday and it's on the 23rd. And if your username is something that is like user number, letter, or whatever, maybe you could put your name in the comments so I know who I'm talking to. So, you know, Jane or Betty or John or whatever your name and the actual birth date. I'd really appreciate it if you do that for a special reason, okay? So that brings us to the end. And next week, we're going to finish up our celebrations and we'll find out who all the lucky winners are. But until then, happy hooking.